1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5.
Testing, testing.
Good morning, honorable members, colleagues from DOD and Armscor. We are left with a minute before we start our meeting, so we thought we must remind everybody to sit down humbly so and kindly so that we can start with our meeting. Honorable Niaus, the meeting is going to be live. Yeah, so your request of wanting a TV. Yeah, the people shall know. So we want to make you aware that please, when you answer, be aware that you're on camera. Yeah, so that you don't become temperamental and people in the public says these people are emotional. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's 10 o'clock now. We can start with our meeting. The agenda of the meeting is before all of us. The meeting is of the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans. The agenda is as follows. Today we don't have a long agenda, but we're going to have a long session. I would like to limit our time on presentations and get more time for members to ask questions. Like we have always said, it's our intention as the Portfolio Committee to ensure that we stabilize the defense and military veterans departments so that our nation can benefit from the safety and the defense of our territories and our sovereignty, because like we have said before, any country that can defend itself or any nation that can defend itself does not deserve a future, does not deserve economic growth, because economic growth, its prerequisite, it's peace and stability, and peace and stability, it's a consequence of defense and military. So, like we have said before, our country is going south in terms of issues of defense and military. We have to turn around the tide, because we are badly exposed that people are dying in our territory and our republic. Extortionists have taken over, mafias have taken over. We need to reclaim our sovereignty, and only this department can ensure that sovereignty is reclaimed from extortionists and mafias, because they are killing people as if the country does not have a defense force, it does not have the police or the intelligence. Because according to stats SA, 27,000 to 30,000 of our people die in the hands of criminals every year. So that's even bigger than people dying in Ukraine, NATO, Russia war, or Eastern DRC, where there's a full-blown war. So that's why all of us have to appreciate their responsibilities and ensure that work is done. Just in a summary, that is the opening remarks. We will then just read the agenda to all of you. The first item has already been done. The second item would be apologies. The third item would be briefing by the DOD and Armscor on the status of maintenance contracts for the South African National Defence Force. The fourth item would be the consideration of outstanding minutes. That will be done internally by committee members. It's an in-committee items, because we don't want to bother you on things you may not know. Then it will be closure. From members, can you get the mover and a seconder for the agenda? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. Your Royal Highness, Ngosi.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to all members. Good morning to the department. I want to just to tender my apology that I would like to leave at 12 o'clock.
At 12 o'clock?
Please.
No problem. Any other apologies, Secretariat?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members, and good morning to everyone present. I've got an apology from Ms. Mutambi, who has a bereavement, and also an apology from the Minister, who's attending another meeting or cabinet meeting, I think. And then there are two members who will be late, they are held up in the Chief Whips Forum, Ms. Nontenja and Mr. Nchingila. And the two deputy ministers are on their way. They're being held in the cabinet meeting, but they will be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can give over to our colleagues because I don't see a full complement of the delegation. SANDF, any apologies from your side? I don't even see the Chief of the South African National Defence Force. Members of the committee want him here.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members. The presentation requires the CEO of Armscor to be leading the delegation. Apologies, he is outside the country on international engagements. We normally come here with the Chief of Staff of the SANDF, but we had to split because there is another parliamentary committee in Simonstown. I think it's the Select Committee on Defense and Security, so he's attending that one. But you are in capable hands. I have Advocate Mvalo, who will be leading the presentations, and they are able to answer all your questions. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take your briefing. Okay, Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me greet you. Let me greet the members of the Portfolio Committee. Let me greet the officials of the Portfolio Committee together with the officials from the department. I want to raise a concern, Chairperson. Oh, there they are. I wanted to raise a concern that there is no politician leading these officials, but luckily the deputy minister is here. Because I was going to say that they should have said to the cabinet meeting, we are having a portfolio committee, if they value a portfolio committee, but let me not talk further because I'm withdrawing my speech. I was going to be very harsh because in a portfolio committee, the CEO of Armscor is not here. And this is to us an important meeting. Then here is a politician, because day to day he'll be dealing with those officials, because we don't want to talk to the wall. I'm not saying the officials that are here, they are walls, but we want those people who are taking decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. We already welcomed everybody, Honorable Deputy Minister, except yourself. You are more than welcome to the Portfolio Committee. I hope you are ready for the Portfolio Committee.
We are ready, sir. And my colleague is also coming. We just left the days now.
Oh, you just left the tennis. No, thank you very much for coming. We will allow the briefing session. We will only give you 30 minutes. I saw your presentation, it's almost 92 pages. We are interested much on page 71 to page 92, but we will allow you to start where you are supposed to start, and then we will deal with the page 71, where you give us figures and everything on your presentation. But I would not want us to take long on the presentations, because I want to allow members to ask questions, because they are responsible to find out. We have been to all your units. We have seen what is happening. The Defence Force is blaming Armscor and Denel. And Armscor and Denel, they are saying, no, it's not our problem, it's their problem. And it's a blame game. So that's why we brought you here today, so that we get to know what is happening, but at the same time ensure that the country is combat ready in case of any attack or any situation. So I'll hand over to you, Honorable Holomisa, as the leader of the delegation for now, to introduce your team to brief us.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, honorable members of Parliament. Once more, we apologize, but as you know, it's not courteous that at least when a forum addressed or chaired by the presidents, you can just stand up and leave midstream, but we managed. On my immediate left is our Secretary for Defense. My name is Bantu Olomisa, so I'll allow her to introduce her team.
I've already introduced myself. I'm Dr. Tobegile Kamede, the Acting Secretary for Defense.
Okay. Good morning, Chair, honorable members of the committee, honorable Deputy Minister Olomisa, and SANDF. My name is Ndodom Zimvambo. I'm one of the group executives in Armscor, and I'm leading the team of senior managers that are supposed to be actually taking you through the presentation. Chair, we take note of what you already said, and I can confirm what both the Deputy Minister and SANDF have already said in this meeting in as far as our preparations are concerned. We have given you the presentation already. We do acknowledge that it's long, but we do know that we have a responsibility to summarize it, to make it sure that it's precise and clear to the committee itself. The senior management team that is here works on those projects. So we are ready to give you the presentation and take questions that you will be posing to us. The presentation is in two parts. The first part is acquisition maintenance projects. We'll take you through what we are doing and what we think we need to actually do differently in order to try to make sure that we resolve the problem that are facing us. The second part focuses on the dockyard aspects. So we do have Ms. Petunia Lebese to lead us on the first part of it. And we have Ms. Ndombi Dini to lead us on the second part of it. So, Chair, without any further ado, I will hand over to Ms. Lebese to start taking you through the first part of the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the members of the Portfolio Committee on Defense. My name is Petunia Lebese, responsible for one of the divisions in the acquisition department. I will be the mouthpiece for the acquisition department, but I've got my colleagues that are here and available to answer on questions. I've got Mr. Henry Green, I've got Ms. Zinzi Ntuli, and Mr. Ernest Ngomezulu, as well as Mr. Suni. Without any waste of time, Chair, I'll take you through the presentation.
Honorable Hattel.
I thought you would, as usual, go through the introductory process of also the Portfolio Committee. As I see, we may have a new member, I don't know. So you didn't actually conclude the introductory part of this portion. Secondly, and you have already mentioned that there are 92 pages in the presentation, but you will recall that 3 weeks ago, the committee unanimously agreed that presentation should be provided to the committee 1 week before. Now, that would have given you the opportunity to remind the presenters
at around 95 million. And this particular requirement is critical as there's plans to, recover the 25 aircraft, but without on-demand funding, those plans will not be realized. And there's also issues of obsolescence that are creeping into the training system, which requires upgrade. Moving to the helicopter fleet, Chair. The first one is the Roy Falk Combat Support Helicopter. We are funded by both the South African Air Force and JOPS in terms of the orders that we have placed. And as indicated on the slide, the requirement is around a billion. However, as indicated on the slide, there's underfunding on this. And we have fixed costs to the value of 63 million for the period of October 1, 2023 to 31 March. That's we're still required to be funded from the SAF. Moving to the Oryx Medium Utility Helicopter Chair. We also have two funding pots from the South African Air Force and from JOPS, and two of the contracts are mainly fixed costs and two are on-demand cost. And the fixed cost is indicated there that have been spent for the period 1 October 2023 to March 2024. And one of the orders was approved by the Armscor screening committee. However, we still awaiting an financial authority so that order placement can commence. Moving to the A109 LUH, Chair, we've got 7 aircrafts that are serviceable there, and we have committed all the funding required, and we've also received a new user requirement as these contracts are running up until the end of the financial year, that is 31 March 2025. So we would have to then have renewal contracts in place. The A109, we've got also the previous contract that I talked about was more on the airframe maintenance, and we also have an engine maintenance contract, and this is also underfunded. Chair. It is the contract is with Safran Helicopter Engines UK. So basically, what the contractor does is provide maintenance on the and repair on the engine and the spares. Moving on then to the BK117, we've got 4 aircrafts that are currently available. And we also have both the fixed cost order and the ad hoc demands. And we have committed most of the funding that has been made available on this one. Moving, Chair, to the Super Lynx helicopter. We also have fixed and ad hoc demands, and this also is funded from both the South African Air Force and JOPS. And just like the A109, we've got 2 contracts. The previous one that indicated the airframe maintenance contract, and we also have the engine maintenance contract, and this particular contract is only on a on demand. And we currently have 2 engines that we have sent to LH Tech for overhaul, and they've been concluded and are making their way back. So I'm gonna then move to the combat fleet, and looking at the Gripen aircrafts. This particular contract is for the maintenance of the airframe and associated ground and support equipment. Chair, this particular order will conclude in the next year, around 2025, and we haven't received a renewal request yet. And in terms of this one, there were around 5 aircrafts that were recovered. However, now and then, there's a number of snakes that are being experienced, but the contract is working on that. In terms of the next order, it is focusing on the engines for the Gripen, and this particular one as well, Chair, the requirement is around 327 million, but we are currently funded at 145, and this one is more on the repairs of engines and space provision as well as technical support. And I'll move on to ground and support and test equipment contract. This is base support. Chair, on this one, we funded, but there isn't, a lot of issues with the funding that is currently made available. The Hawk trainer aircraft, Chair, the requirement is at 382. However, on this particular order, the order already expired in 2024, and there's no contract in place due to the financial authority not have been made available, and therefore this poses a major risk on the operations of the aircraft. Plus the issue that we have to constantly extend the validity of the offer that is on place, which might then impact in terms of escalating costs. Moving on, Chair, to the engine contract for the Hawk as well. This is with Rolls-Royce, and the requirements currently are at around 29 million, and we're currently being funded at 19 million, and this particular one will also expire by 2025. I think this particular slide is actually a duplication. Apologies for that. Moving on to the Thales support contract, Chair, this is an umbrella contract that covers Thales components on all the aircrafts that have Thales avionics. And this particular requirement is sitting at around 108, and we are funded at 90 million. And this funding was only provided in May 2024. So it's a new contract that will be concluded by 2027. The Pratt & Whitney contract as well, it is an umbrella contract to service, engines that are for aircrafts that have P&W engines, that is the PC-12, the PC-7, and the Cessna aircraft. The requirement currently is sitting at 250 million, and we are funded at around 92 million, Chair. The order is running smooth, and there's 3 engines that are in process of overhauling. Chair, looking at more of the base support contracts, this particular one is a contract on the maintenance and repair of the electrical ground support equipment, and the contract is funded and active, and we do not have major issues here. More on the base support, it's the refueling systems for the South African Air Force, and this particular one as well, though the requirement is around 43, we are comfortable with what has been provided in terms of the 34 million, and this order will run up until 2026. The aircraft launching and landing system, Chair. The particular maintenance requirement for this, there is a preferred bidder that is still on the table. However, Armscor could not place an order due to funding, so we are still currently awaiting for a financial authority to be made available, and restarting the whole process again, as the RFB was eventually cancelled due to no funding. So once funding is made available, we'll be able to start on the procurement process again. Moving on to the next portfolio, which is the command and control portfolio, Chair. This one is maintenance and support for local warning system for a defense system. The order, this particular order is been concluded, and there is no new order. The client indicated that they are still looking, for funds for us to do a renewal contract on this one. The next one this is actually a technology project, Chair. I don't know how it made its way into the presentation, but this is a technology project, not necessarily a maintenance order. So I'll just pass. And then the next one is a maintenance and service for telemetry on board and ground control system, Chair. And for this particular requirement, the order is up until October 2025. And on this particular one as well, Chair, the SEF does the integration and testing as well as maintenance, and the order provides for spares and technical support. And then looking at the maintenance and support services for vibration analysis, this, Chair, is just an order for all the aircrafts that have propellers and blades. And this particular one is been completed and closed, and a new order will be initiated. Normally it will be a three-year order that will be initiated for around, the requirement we're looking at around 23 million for the 3 years. Chair, can I take a sip of water? Moving to landward systems orders, Chair. This particular one is the maintenance and repair of vehicle components and spares for the member vehicles, Chair. And for this particular one, the order was concluded and delivered in in 2024. And then the next one is maintenance and repair for fire and rescue vehicles, Chair. And this one as well, Chair, the order requirement is sitting at around 21 million, and we are currently funded at around 9 million. This is mainly a ad hoc based contract. Moving on, Chair, to the maintenance and repair of vehicles. For this particular one as well, the order will be closed as it the bulk of the work that needed to be done has been done on this one, and there's just some small funds that are remaining before the order can be concluded. Chair, it's another technology project that made its way into the presentation. I'll just pass. The next one will be looking at the maintenance and support services, Chair, for the South African Navy. These particular maintenance contracts that will be presented are specific technology components, looking at specific technologies, not the whole vessel. So this particular one is an order that is placed for the propulsion systems. This is mainly your main engines and diesel generators for the fleet. It's a multi-year contract that has been extended for a couple of years. For the order requirement for this financial year, for this particular contract, there is still some funding that has been kept on the order to allow for dyno testing to be concluded on the order. Moving on, we've got what we refer to as general systems. This is mostly maintenance system on energy generating systems for all the Navy vessels. And this particular order as well has been concluded. There's just some work that needs to be concluded with the contractor, but there is a follow-on order that is currently in place. The next order speaks to the maintenance and support services for the interior and exterior communication systems for all the Navy vessels. The order is currently on track. It also consists of both fixed cost and non-fixed cost, and thus far it's fully funded, and there's 65% of that order amount has been committed on this order. The next requirement talks to the propulsion system, which is the main engines and diesel generators. This is actually a renewal order from the previous one that I had indicated that there was still some work that was outstanding on that particular order. And this one will be concluded by 2025. We have, however, received new requirements, and we are in the procurement process to be able to place a new contract by 1st of March 2025. The next order talks to underwater and fire control systems for the South African Navy, and this particular order was renewed in 2023 and will be concluded by 2026. There's no foreseen risk on this one, and it is fully funded. Moving on to the energy generating system. The previous order, I've indicated that we just wrapping it up, but this one is the renewal order for that particular one, and it is placed up until 2026. It is fully funded and on track. The next one talks to the frigate tracker systems, and this particular one is also funded, Chair, and will be concluded by February 2025. We have already received a new requirement, and we are on a procurement process to be able to place a new order by 1st of March 2025. Chair, the next requirement talks to the navigation and surveillance systems for the South African Navy. The order is fully funded and it will conclude by 2025. With this one as well, we've got a new requirement and we are already on a procurement process, and we anticipate that a new order will be placed by the 1st of March 2025. Chair, this was a once-off kind of mid-life upgrade of the 14 main chamber for the South African Navy. This particular order was also fully funded, and we just we've concluded all the tests, and we plan to just finalize the training on this one, after which space will be delivered, and then this one will be concluded and closed. Chair, moving on to telecommunication, sensing and systems. Chair, the first order, it's on static and mobile defense comms system, Chair. This particular order lapsed in 2024, and it was fully funded. We just finalizing the closure. And there is a renewal order that was placed from the 1st of November, and this particular one will run up until 2029. In terms of funding, the requirement is around 236, but we are funded for this current financial year for around 17 million and 9 million respectively for the different pots of funding that we get. Chair, this particular order is fully funded, and we currently do not foresee any challenges. This order is placed up until October 2025. And this particular one is, we referred to it as Project Mahi. However, it is the replacement of air traffic management system, and it's basically to support the old system that will eventually be replaced by a Project Mahi. Chair, this particular order is an order placed with Tally South Africa for the frigate combat management system. The order is currently funded, and what the order is basically doing, Chair, is maintaining the CMS system that is that we anticipate that a project, an unfunded project called Project Sign, will eventually be funded and address the obsolescence. So this is just keeping the CMS system alive while Project Sign is not in yet. But we've got a lot of obsolescence that we are managing on that one. And this one is still the same project. It's the old order, which was concluded in in 2024. Chair, moving on to the next order, which talks to the electronic warfare systems. This particular order was fully funded, and there's just around 2.3 million that is remaining and will flow in the current financial year. Even this one, Chair, there is a lot of obsolescence that we are managing, and it's one of those systems as well, Chair, that we anticipate that when Project Sign kicks in, we'll be able to address those issues. Moving on, Chair, this particular order is an order for the electronic warfare signal intelligence, Chair, for all the SAF aircrafts. This particular one is fully funded and has been concluded. There is a new requirement, and we anticipate that an order to the value of around 20, actually a new order to the value of 20 million was placed up until 2027. This particular order, Chair, it's an order on radio equipments. Chair, I would like to offer a correction on this particular slide, as the order requirement that is being reflected there is not correct. The correct order requirement value is 37 million, and what has been funded is around 19 million. And this one as well is a 3-year order, and funding will be made available as and when required in the coming financial years. Chair, the next requirement relates to telephone network switches, and this one there's no issues. The project is going on, and it's adequately funded, partially funded. Next one is an order on ultra high frequency for the South African Air Force, and this particular one has been concluded, and we currently have delays in we had delays in receiving the new requirement, but it was eventually received in September 2024, and we plan to place a new order by January 2025. The next order, Chair, is on telephone network switches, and there's two orders that have been reflected there. There's one that is a running order, and then the other one was concluded. But the running order is currently partially funded as well. Chair, I'm going to move on now to maintenance orders under the weapons and special projects. On this particular one, Chair, it's maintenance and repair for electrical power generators. And this particular one looks at the generators that are what we refer to external support. This is beyond the SA border line. So the order was terminated in June 2024, and we currently do not have a replacement order, as we are still waiting for a requirement from the user. The next one is a similar order, but it looks for a maintenance for these generators which are within SA and along the borderline. And this new order is planned to be placed next year, as this particular one is running up until the 31st of March, though it was also underfunded. Chair, from my side, before the dockyard takes on the presentation, the last maintenance and repair is on the gun system for the South African Navy. And this particular one is with the land system, and it was fully funded, though we have some challenges that the division is currently managing. Chair, that would be my last slide in terms of maintenance contract that are run from acquisition department, and I would like the dockyard to then come in and continue with the rest of the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I thought we'll allow the dockyard before we take questions.
Not asking a question, Chair.
Okay.
I'm raising the issue that you said half an hour.
Yes.
We're now only through part of this presentation and the half an hour has expired. So I think we need to take note of what is happening here. I'm raising this issue very particularly because when I come back to my question that I want to raise, I will deal with the way in which this presentation has been brought to us and the manner in which it has been presented. But now we're going to a very substantial part of this presentation, and the half an hour that you've given for the presentation has expired. I'm not saying we shouldn't get the rest of the presentation, but we need to note what is happening here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Newhouse, for your point. We'll allow you to finalize the presentation. Next time, honorable members and colleagues, let's stick to the time. Normally, you must do your dry run of your presentation, look at your words. There's a system that you can use that is applied by universities on plagiarism. You can use it. It can also tell you and coach you how many words you can do in a particular minute, how many of your presentation. You are dealing with weapons. You are supposed to have those systems. If you don't have it, then you are still 100 years behind civilization. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, or still good morning, members of the Portfolio Committee and Deputy Ministers. Am I audible now? Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Sorry about that. My name is Ntombi Dini. I'm from Armscor Dockyard. I'll be doing the presentation on behalf of Armscor Dockyard. And in assistant, I have two members, which are my colleagues, Mr. Marvin Seconds and Mr. Rual Santos, who will be assisting me with the technical aspects of the presentation. This slide just shows a structure of the dockyard in terms of the capacity when we're talking about staff complement. You will note on the left-hand side of the presentation, there's an execution division. So in terms of the numbers of the people that we have within the dockyard, it's mainly the execution team which assist in terms of the repairs and maintenance. And then we have a support services, which is your finance and HR and procurement, which assist the execution team in making sure that the repairs and maintenance of the SA naval vessels is done. And the second slide talks to the value chain as to how do we plan as an organization in making sure that the tasking or the projects that we get assigned to by the SA Navy, how do we execute them as an organization? So we start by making sure that we define the projects and then we allocate the resources, and then we go ahead in terms of the refitting that is required, and we make sure that in terms of the commissioning and everything that we do, it's within the quality controls. And then how also, as I've indicated, that how this other support division are assisting, which is your finance and HR and human resources, which are providing a support in terms of the business process of the dockyard. This slide talks to the structure of the repairs and maintenance within the dockyard, it is important to note that this is an integrated approach which looks at 4 levels, and dockyard being the third line maintenance. So there's other entities that are assisting the Navy in terms of making sure that the repairs and maintenance is done at the dockyard. The first line will be your cruise ship, your crew and ship staff, and then the second line is fleet and maintenance unit, and then the third line, which is us as Armscor Dockyard, and then we have fourth line, which is just industry, looking at local industries, and then we have other concentrated of efforts, which looks at your systems managers, which is the SMS indicated there, which is one of the entities that assist us in making sure that the space that we require when we need to do the repairs and maintenance is available. This just explains the different levels of, as I've alluded in the previous slide. I will not go into details of the others. I'll just focus on the one which is bullet number C, which talks to the dockyard, which explains what I've just alluded to say that we are a third line maintenance organization within the naval system to provide support for the vessels and system, but excluding the organization within the first and the second line. So this is our main responsibilities without taking into consideration both the first and the second line, but we come in as a third line maintenance organization. And the upkeep programs talks to the projects that we embark on in terms of supporting our client, which is the SA Navy. We do docking within essential defects, which is what we call DED, that normally takes about 3 to 4 months for us to execute. But this looks at routine intermediate docking when certain specified preventative maintenance and essential defects that directly affects fighting and seagoing, which cannot await for refits. And then we have what we call refits that we do, which is part of the maintenance that we do onto the vessels, which normally takes a duration of 18 months. This talks to programmed support or corrective maintenance that we carry out on the ships, and then we also require, when we do this, we also require the authorization from the Chief of the Navy in order for us to be able to do the execution of this refits. And having mentioned on the other slide, the DED and the refits refers to planned work that we're supposed to do at the dockyard, but we tend to find that because sometimes there's delays in terms of those DEDs and refits being executed. As a result, we end up having to do a lot of ad hoc activities. By ad hoc activities, I mean unplanned work that we tend to execute because we're trying to substantiate the delays in terms of the refits that we are not conducted. So that means then there's additional a lot of ad hoc activities that we end up doing. So these shows in terms of percentage, according to the taskings that we receive from the client, looking at the levels that I've indicated to say there's different levels that provide support in terms of the maintenance and repairs. You will note that from the dockyard side, when we looked at the taskings that we received, 44% of those ad hoc activities that we were busy with in the 2024-2025 financial year was allocated to the dockyard, and then some of the other percentage in terms of the work was allocated to the different levels that I've spoke to in the previous slides. This is slides just it's just showing in terms of the different class of vessels to say, based on the ad hoc activities that I spoke to in the previous slide, how much of percentage was allocated to submarines and frigates and MMIPV in terms of percentage based on the work allocation on the ad hoc activities that we needed to do, which talks to the maintenance of the vessels. And in terms of dockyard capability,
Not here.
We don't have that one. Stop.
Chairperson, the last 3 slides are not here.
Okay.
Ends where.
It ends at the ad hoc workshop. I also don't have it here, so can you allow you to continue?
Don't
so
have
that
it.
We get the
We'll
gist
follow
of
it on the screen, but
Yeah.
we don't have it.
Yes. I also don't have, but that's why we talk of a week. At least a week give you a chance to make some corrections and compare notes. But now if you come few hours before and you're expected to have everything now, this is part of the problem. Normally we have to chase your way, but I will allow you because we want to intervene.
Sorry, Chair. Can you sum it up? We're running out of time for questions. You can't read line by line. This is your document. Which is
Okay, the leader of the delegation from the executive is giving you a directive. From our side as the ecosystem, we can't give you instructions. You and the executive account to us. We are the oversight authority. We want to know what is the rents and cents doing here, value for money.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll come to that point because I don't see in your whole presentation that part that talks to value for money. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This just talks to the capabilities. I will not go through the different capabilities that we offer as it's shown on the screen. Thank you. In terms of the procurement, this slide was just to show that due to the ad hoc activities that I spoke to, this is what we spend on in terms of procurement, which sometimes causes delays in terms of the turnaround times on fixing the vessels, because if we work more on unplanned activities, that means we will require to go on a procurement process, which sometimes has an impact on the turnaround times of making sure that the vessels are ready for sea. The next slide, I will also not go into details because it also talks to the ad hoc, but talking to the available hours that we can be able to have in terms of supporting the entity, that our client. Same as this slide talks to the percentage that we have, so I will not dwell onto it. In terms of the upkeep program, these slides just to show how many projects that we've been working on in the past. I will also not go into detail because it's already showing on the slide. Same as this is still a continuation of the previous slide to say what are the activities that we were able to complete in terms of the projects that we were involved in. And this talks to the offshore patrol vessels that are ready to or have been decommissioned for disposal processes. These are the 3 vessels that will be going through the disposal processes. In terms of the multi-mission inshore patrol, we just wanted to highlight that SAS Sekhukhune did dock at the dockyard on the 19th of November, or was planned to dock for the period of from the 19th until the 15th of January 2025. And same as SAS Shaka Zulu, who was planned to dock on the 15th of November 2024. In terms of the frigates, we had a vessel that is undergoing repairs and maintenance. This vessel is currently situated at the contractor in Durban. It was transported to the Durban facility where the subcontractor is working on the vessel. This happened in April 2024, that's the date that the vessel was delivered in Durban to go through the refit processes. And then SAS Amatola has been fully operational, and we are able to support the client in terms of the selling programs. We've been doing that for the past few months. Manta TC is currently undergoing a maintenance period. It was planned to take, DED was planned to be completed in 2022-2023, and Dockyard is currently attending to operational defects that have been raised against the submarine. And Charlotte Maklaike, we currently busy with overhauling phase. Certain equipments have been removed and busy with the repair in order to allow us to do the overhauling of the space and then upload it again onto the system. What we have done, we went on a technical support tender, which closed on the 21 October. Response have been received from industry, and as a division, we are currently analyzing the response that we've received from the bid processes. On Queen Mode, Dockyard is also attending on a number of activities. Same as Charlotte, the tender was combined. So the process of the tendering process was combined between Queen Mode and Charlotte, which closed on the 21st of October. And we are analyzing this response as indicated. And this part was just to show in terms of our infrastructure facilities, what capacity do we have, how are we able to provide support in terms of available capacity, in terms of the synchro lift and the dry dock, just not going through everything else. Where there's a high number of percentage, it means we are fully capacitated in terms of the wharf cranes. We are able to provide support in terms of the drainage pump. And then where there's red highlights, it means we are not fully capacitated. We're still going through either procurement functions to make sure that we are able to support in those aspects. And the challenges that we have as an organization is the availability of space or the turnaround times in terms of obtaining space. What we put in as mitigation is to make sure that we review the current space philosophies that we are using and then come up with a baseline to make sure how do we make sure that we are able to support the organization on a day-to-day basis. The other challenge, as indicated, because of the DEDs that are planned not happening on time, it's the ad hoc activities. So meaning that most of the capacity that we have, we end up putting on the ad hoc activities. Mitigation is to capacitate FMU based and to try and see how we can reduce the ad hoc and make sure that all the vessels that are supposed to go on DED go on time. But in order for us to be able to do this, we will require additional funding to make sure that the vessel upgrades are done on time. Just to highlight on an overview on the mitigation, is just as an organization, we're committing that we are going to do a review structure within the Dockyard to see how we can be able to evaluate or make sure that the spare management or the roles and responsibilities between the two entities, which is ourselves and the Navy, we manage the enablers that impact the repairs and maintenance so that we can be able to improve on our turnaround time in making sure that the vessels are available for sea. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. You can switch off your mic. Yeah, just to set the ground. Our agenda item, it says briefing by the DOD and Armscor on the status of maintenance contracts for the South African National Defence Force. What I'm missing in your presentation, it's military economics, costs, benefit analysis. With all you have put in your breakdown, I still miss a point of how much are you going to need to get the status up to scratch. I tried on the flights, on the aircrafts, I came to an amount of 9.6 billion. But in grand total, after your presentation, I miss the figure of how much do you need to bring operations and maintenance of all our military equipments to scratch. Now that's military economics. You need to do a cost benefit analysis to say whether we'll need 9 billion, whether we'll need 30 billion, whether we'll need how much. Now that's the work of the technocrats. So we are going to request the executive to hold you accountable in that particular regard, because you are confusing us. It's generic. It's general what you're saying. We can't be playing with the safety of the country. I need to know how many bullets you want, how many liters of diesel you want, how many equipments you need for us to be scratched on operations and maintenance. That technical aspect is your work as the technocrats. So that's why it's very much important that you give us those figures, because as it is now, you are misleading us as a committee. Because it's us who must go to talk to Treasury, to Finance Appropriation Committee on your behalf. But if you don't help us with figures or grand total or estimates, you are further confusing us. The report was more on compliance, but it was not more on the nuts and bolts of what we need if we were to go to war tomorrow or even today. So that is basically the point that I think from your side, somebody can do the calculation or the estimate so that we understand what is happening, because we can't run a military science through common sense. Military is not for common sense. You have to be accurate. That's why I'm called a civilian. You are called officers, precisely because you can't be inept and timid when you do your responsibility. I will now allow members to raise their hands. Honorable Niehaus, Honorable Hateng, Honorable Hala, Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Plakis, Honorable Shelembe, in that order.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I interrupted the presentation by having pointed out that 30 minutes had expired. And I did so with a very particular purpose. Because for me, the curse of PowerPoint presentations is exactly what we experience today here. That we are being given a PowerPoint presentation where the presenter is reading almost word for word what is on the presentation. I'm sorry, we can read. You don't need to read for us. That is why we wanted this presentation a week ago, that we can read through it. What we expect from officials who understand the issues that they are dealing with is that they will say, this is the presentation, honorable members. Here is our assessment of what this presentation tells you is wrong and is right. On almost every one of these slides, I had to underline limited funding, underfunding, but I do not get any indication from the presentation what the consequences of that underfunding is in terms of the performance for the South African National Defence Force. It was even worse, Honourable Chair, when we get the presentation about the dockyard. We've been at the dockyard. We don't need to sit here and say that we don't understand the disaster that has unfolded at that dockyard. But Armscor comes here today and they present to us just again a regurgitation of a number of figures without explaining to us the consequence of what these figures mean and explaining to us how we can get out of this mess. This is the reality. And honorable deputy ministers, I must sympathize with you, because I'm afraid you're dealing with very poor quality officials. The two presentations that we got here today does not tell me that these officials understand what is going on. They don't. They go through the actions. They come and tell us simply what the facts are without interpretation. And this is a disaster, because it will not take us out of the problem. Yesterday, Chair, I asked a question in the National Assembly of the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans. And my question was a very particular one about what is happening at the dockyard. So the Minister says to me that we as a Department of Defence work with Armscor and with other contractors. Okay, fair enough. But has the Minister actually looked at what the dockyard value chain is? The Minister's answer didn't explain to me that Armscor is in fact the gateway. It handles the procurement processes. You can go and look at what the mission and the vision of Armscor is, and it explains exactly that. Today in this presentation, I do not get any understanding of how Armscor in particular deals with those other private sector manufacturers and how it engages to get the best possible deal for its client, the South African National Defence Force. And therefore, Chair, I must come to the conclusion that this presentation by Armscor simply tells us that they do not know what they're doing, that the dockyard is not going to get fixed, that the frigates will continue to be unoperative and we will continue to miss the deadlines, the same for our necessary aircraft in the South African Air Force. So in short, Chair, this presentation has told me nothing new. It has not given me any new interpretation of the facts of what is going on with regards to the role that Armscor plays. It simply gave me a point by point, as the first presentator said, as we move on. Every slide, as we move on. Chair, as we move on into a total disaster. That is what this presentation told me. And this has to come to an end. If Armscor has to change the staff that it has, it better do so. If the staff cannot give us an interpretation of the facts that they read verbatim out to us, they are not competent to do their jobs. Chair, we invest billions.
As we summarize, Honorable.
Yes, I'm summarizing, Chair, but this point is very important.
No problem.
As we invest billions in order to make sure that we have a defense force that is effective and will be able to defend our country, we cannot invest those billions into an organization that shows this dismal lack of understanding and capability. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Newhouse. I'll comment on at the end. Honorable Hatton.
Thank you, Chair. One thing that before I come to the what I believe is the elephant in the room, nothing was said about SAS Spionkorp. I don't know if perhaps somebody can just say all the other three frigates were mentioned, and we know their status. Chair, I think from the presentation, the first part we've learned the word in red, underfunded, actually dominated the presentation. That's reality, and I think the reality is because of the limited budget, compensation of employees is priority for the SANDF. So where does that money comes from? It comes from procurement and maintenance, and we see this here. And without funding for maintenance, we will have an Armscor in the situation where it is now. It is a serious concern. What actually I have to differ from my colleague, a very valuable, unless I misunderstand, the slide is slide 81, where it indicates that the value of requirements procured for the current financial year is less than a quarter of that of the previous financial year. Well, if that, and we are now, almost halfway through the financial year. If this is the case, no, almost three quarters through. If this is the case, then one can understand the predicament that the Dockyard and Armscor find itself in. We've seen that Armscor turnover and orders has actually increased, but this is a different picture. But what we see here is not only the Armscor predicament that they found themselves in, and they can do nothing about it. But this is also an indication of the status of our main battle equipment. If this is the level of maintenance underfunded continuously year after year, where are we going to? Where are we heading? The Charlotte Masheke, it's here again, been stripped. We don't know when it will be, because of funding, when it will ever see water again. But also underlying in this, and I think it's also fueled by this, an Honourable Chair is not here, but my colleagues will recall when we were in Simonstown, the Naval Command senior officers were explicit about their very negative opinion about the Dockyard and about Armscor's performance. On the other hand, I can understand that Armscor is also very uncomfortable about the lack of funding. But all of this led to a situation of mistrust. And I'm happy for the last paragraph that there is actually a commission or some investigation into this, because no two organizations can operate in a relationship where there's no trust. How can the Navy then trust the work that's been done by Armscor? Because the senior commanders, and that is the message that they give through into the structure. We don't trust Armscor. Armscor is messing everything up. The other hand, not through the Naval Command's efforts, there's no funding to provide Armscor with what they have to do. Fortunately, the Deputy Minister is here, and I'm happy that he committed, according to the President, that the funding of the SANDF will move to 1.5% of the GNDP. What the Deputy Minister failed to state is over what period. And I think this is crucial for the survival of the arms industry in South Africa. And we need to know that, and I think for any big company with 18 billion orders, It's necessary for the planning that they need to know where it's going to, because the compensation of employees is going to go up year after year, even if with the exit mechanism, if that's in place, it doesn't materialize. So maintenance will continue to dwindle. That's the reality we find ourselves in. Thank you, Chair. So I want to direct question. I want to understand the effect of the decrease in funding, provisioning orders to Armscor. I would like to know about the Spion Corp, and I would like to know about the current value of requirement as it's projected to us in slide 81, about less than a quarter of the last year's procurement. Thank you.
You forgot one point you normally raise. Easter hoofdes, or what is that?
No, but hoof Easter. That's
Hoof Easter.
But no, that will be a future problem because this is maintenance.
Yes.
Once we have hoof Easters driving around, then hoof Easter will appear here as maintenance problem.
I did not know that hoofster until you repeated it to my ears. So hoof Easter. Armscor, you will prepare for hoof Easter, not in this one. Because I think some crime was committed there. People have to be held responsible. In that order. You can proceed, my leader, Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think maybe I'll repeat some of the issues that you have said, as well as Honorable Niehaus next to me, about the underfunding in particular that is reflected on the report. And that underfunding, it's not compiled, even though it is being explained in this thing, in page by page, on the report that is given for a particular thing, then not the whole sum. But what worries me, it's about some that are referred to as being agent, requiring some amount of money. Then if they are agent, what is Armscor is doing about that? For instance, maybe I'll pronounce the name not correct, the Pilatus. It was said it's agent, that one, but the funding, it's less. You got 95 million and you required 320 million. And then also on the Hawk, whereby the Hawk contract has expired by 31st of August. It has expired. And there is no order that is there. And you have written it yourself that it poses a major risk on the operations of Hawk. Then if it poses those major risks and the contract expired on the 24th, because I'm looking at other contracts that will expire early next year. To me, July is early. What have you done? What are the planning for those contracts that will expire? If we're having a contract that has already expired of the Hawk and it poses a challenge or a risk in its operations, and what is being done also. Then on the Dockyard, because on the Dockyard, when we met the Navy, they were very much worried. It seems as if Armscor is doing it deliberately, and not looking at the issues that need their equipment, especially on the spares and refits that they were talking about, saying that the spares, they'll be from Germany or London or wherever, those companies, and they will take time. And yet, Bona, as Navy, they can do that because they are seeing it being deliberately done. For now, most of their vessels are sitting there. They can't use them because they will wait for a particular spare part that will come after 6 months or a year. Because some of the vessels that were there were lucky to go to visit those areas before we sit this meeting. Because now, if you give us this report of non-performance by Armscor to some of the issues, then what we got as the briefing when we visited those areas, it means that they are correct. We need to take what they are saying. For instance, on the helicopter fleet, you have on the supply chain, the bid specification still in the process. Bid specification, not bid evaluation and bid adjudication on the specific specification of a thing that must be ordered, taking a long time. Then it means that on the evaluation, it will be more than anything, and the adjudication. Then it gives me a worry. For instance, both A0109 frame and A109, whatever, engine. You said something like that, if I've written it not correctly. But all of them, you reflected about the bid specification that is in process. And then, if I may ask, when was it required? When was it advertised? Surely it hasn't been advertised. So, Chairperson, to me, other reports that are not, they don't give us what are the causes of these delays. Then on the challenges in the dockyard is the personnel. And yet you are saying yourselves, you employ on an ad hoc. You even say a volume of ad hoc personnel. Why don't you employ, if you can take a volume of personnel ad hocly? Because it is said there. And yet you are saying that one of the challenges is the personnel.
As we summarize, my leader, so that we give other members.
There. Hey, okay. Let me stop. You're trying to stop me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In that order. No akonto bendithi nje sinikeza abanye iqhuba nabo.
Thanks, Chair.
Ithuba. Yeah. Honorable Hala.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I've got only one point here. And my point is an advice to...
Can you kindly speak to the mic?
It's an advice to the colleagues over there. That colleagues, you must remember that South Africa belongs to us, all who are sitting here. When given tasks by your superiors, please fulfill those tasks. If you heard the opening remarks of the chair here, he was saying that all these slides are full of underfunded. And now a question would be asked, how are we going to go to the Treasury as this committee? What are we going to say to them? Because they are all underfunded, and how much is needed by you not to be underfunded? And it's not here. So I'm appealing to you, colleagues, to do the right thing. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Plugis. Oh, Honorable Shelembe, sorry.
It's my turn.
No, you are protected. Don't worry, Honorable. You are protected. You have taken an oath of office. There's no doubt.
No, thank you, Chairperson. I don't have much, but what I know, the success of having, for the Department of Defense, to do its work properly and efficiently, it depends on the two departments, Armscor, I think, and Denel. And I believe there is also, an agreement. Now, my concern is that some of the work for Armscor is done by, I think, with Denel. I'm checking here that looking, to what the Minister of Finance said in his budget statement, is that there's going to be no more bailing out of entities like, which included, Denel. Now, seeing that, Denel is struggling right now to do its work, is there any sort of a contingency plan, I think maybe from Armscor, that if Denel fails, the country or the Department of Defense will be able to continue with its work of defending, the country? It's a concern, as I'm saying now. There's going to be no more bailout for Denel. What is that you have, as Armscor, to look and see that anyway there is a well-functioning Department of Defense to have all, they need. For instance, if you look, at the Denel Aviation is the original equipment manufacturer for South African Air Force, that is the Roy Falk. Also responsible for the maintenance of all South African Air Force, that is Oryx. Now, do you foresee Denel being able to perform that duty, and what is your plan should Denel fail, to continue that functioning? Thank you.
Honorable Plakis.
Thank you, Chair. I think, Chair, we are taken to sit and deal with academic exercises and not really deal with the core matters of our country and the army. I even think, Chair, we've been asking for all of these departments that is trying to do one thing, to be under one roof and begin to discuss what will be a proper way forward. My colleague have just raised the issue of Denel. What is the impact of the non-functioning or the depleted or unoperational Denel towards your spares shortages, the services of helicopters? What is the interlinked, and how is it affecting your operations as Armscor, DOD? Because it is a chain. If Denel is not functioning, Armscor is not going to get some of what they need, and the Air Force themselves is not going to get what they need. But you will come here and make presentations to say that we have this, we are waiting for this, but knowing that at Denel you are not going to get it, because there's nothing there. But you still come here and say, if Denel is going to, they are supposed to service this, but you know for a fact Denel is not going to service. But you bring it here, and we sit here, and now we think maybe in 3 months Denel is going to service, whilst you know that there's a problem there. Secondly, it is a surprise, President of the Dockyard, that you say you must still determine the baseline. My understanding, before you do any other thing, you determine the baseline first. On what must you work on? You cannot work and then say, now I must check where's the baseline. You must first have the baseline in order for you to do other things. And even what one of my colleagues have raised on the Dockyard, Chair, is that we have picked it up amongst the Navy and Armscor. There's a serious issue on the dockyard. And by presenting to us all the time what is happening at dockyard is not going to solve the problem. Because the Navy is saying that we can do some of the things that the dockyard is saying that they are waiting for. But if they are not in this meeting, Chair, and they cannot respond to that, we will sit with the problem. Because we don't know what is this that they are saying that we can do this ourselves. So give us back the dockyard and all of us will be happy. Armscor is saying if you take dockyard from us, we'll have a problem ourselves. So we need to have that interface and discussion around some of these matters, Chair. I've seen you here in your presentation. You talk about some of the vessels are now helping and have been assisting, especially the last one, the frigates, the Amatola. The vessel have been operational and supporting the South African Navy sailing programs for the past few months. When we will ask, because that's why I'm saying, Chair, we must have tentative time frames. You must say it have started to help from January till now, because our last visit there was there's no such assistance to the Navy. So we must know, did it happen last month or the 2 months before it? Because the last time that we were there, they were saying that there's no this kind of assistance there. So I think what my colleagues is saying, it is important that we put time frames, timelines, Secretary, into our reports. And even when we need, we must say when will the need really urgently be wanted, so that when we go and help and say, even in priority, to say that, can you live without the Falcons for 2 years, and you deal with the Oryx for now, and we will rather want that money to move there. But whilst you come here, you give us a holistic picture of everything, and you want money for everything. And there's no priority, Chair, in that aspect, and I think that is important. I want to stop there, Chair.
Your Royal Highness.
Thank you, Chairperson. Still, I'm tempted to just raise one thing, Chair, that one was hoping that out of the presentations, we would be given the amount or the figures of the equipment that the state has. Out of it, then be told a number of those that are no longer operational, because that would have maybe given us a clear picture of the challenges that the department is having. The first presenter mentioned the unavailability of Cessna. Then that raised a question on me with regards to the C-130 that crash landed in one of the countries outside South Africa. And no mention was made of the fact that out of the C-130s, we are having one that is not operational. And currently, what is happening in it? Has it been brought back to the country for fixing, or had it been taken out of that country or that neighboring country, maybe to the manufacturer of it, so that they could maybe do a proper mechanic to reactivate it, so that it could be used as a transport of our army. That's just wanted just to note that.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. I think I just need to clear other points. Honorable Member Nyao said you are incompetent. Now, it bothers on labor relations as the employer. So we can admit that we've got capacity challenges so that tomorrow, whenever disciplinary actions are taken against you, you must not say it was the intention of Parliament or the committee to deal with me, so that you understand that particular aspect in terms of labor relations. So I don't want us to get to that point where we make a performance appraisal or assessment without following contractual specifications in terms of our key performance areas. I don't want
We're simply assessing the performance on the basis of what happened here today.
Okay.
And that is the reality, and that is the conclusion that I came to on the basis of the performance of what happened here today.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Honorable Shelembe is allowed to, he has an emergency family matter. So I just wanted us to clarify that point. So it's good that you qualified it so that we don't find ourselves in trouble going forward. But before I give back to you to answer, there's a defense review report of 2015 which says Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My question is just one. What I want to know, what are the other services that Denel is able to carry out or to perform? Instead of, I've seen so many outsourcing business here. Why is it Denel not used to maybe service our equipments, our cars or our vehicles or whatever that it needs to be fixed? Why is it Denel not used? There's a man of outsourcing here.
Thank you, Honorable. You'll also answer to that point. Why such a lot of outsourcing rather than insourcing? Because if you have over 70,000 manpower or women power, why do you go outside? I'm sure you'll answer to that. But the point that I want to bring to your attention is the sensitivity of our territorial integrity and sovereignty. The Defense Review Report of 2015 clearly stipulates that the National Defense Force is on a decline, it's going south. In your presentation today, even in terms of operations and maintenance, there is nowhere where we are getting north, where there's a turnaround. This report is a little bit hopeless and discouraging and concerning, because we remain with a lot of equipment, unoperational, lacking maintenance, and there's no turnaround which shows you that what would happen in 6 months, in 18 months, in 36 months, in terms of these equipments that we need to repair so that we can bring back the capabilities of our National Defense Force and ensure that we live according to the mandate of Section 200, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic. Now, you need to be reminded, it's not a threat. Your ineptness, your timidness, your being casual bothers on the security of the country, and that becomes treasonous. It becomes very treasonous. We are reaching a point as a committee where we are becoming intolerant of some of the reports you bring to us for purpose of compliance, forgetting that we have 62 million people to defend, who 27,000 of them are dying, who kids are dying every day out of poisons, who borders are porous, who live in fear, in high walls, electricity, private securities and everything. Now, everybody has a hope that as this department, we have to ensure safety and security of all our citizens. Now, that's what we want you as administration, as technical people and officials to appreciate. Because the other problem here, I can see there's a silo arrangement between Armscor, Denel, and the National Defence Force. I'm sure on a weekly basis, if you can set up a technical committee of all three of you sitting on issues that you have presented to us, saying this one, and report every week to your executive, your minister and two deputy ministers, what are you doing every day or every week to get rid of all the issues you have tabulated as underfunded, as problematic, as outstanding, so that every week the executive must know what you are doing. Because you seem to be low unto yourself. You seem not to be accounting. That honeymoon must come to an end because we are risking over 62 million lives. It cannot be business as usual. I'll hand over to you to answer us, but start with Honorable Deputy Ministers as the leaders of the delegations, just to tell us. The Defense Review report says we are on a decline. What is the turnaround? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and honorable members and the officials from Armscor and the Defense. How I wish that on or before Christmas, or before we rise for our holidays, that we could have a meeting of the Portfolio Committee, Standing Committee on Finance, as well as Denel and Armscor. And we would attempt to address some of your concerns. Right now, some of the questions you have raised could not be answered because on Friday, this coming Friday, the the Council of Defense will be meeting to look at our budget submission for 25-26 financial year. We must also remember that the government of national unity inherited a committed budget. But what we are working towards now is to make sure that the budget for next year must, one, talk to the implementation of President Ramaphosa's instruction that we must move away from 0.56% of the GDP to 1.5% of the GDP. So the presentation we are going to look at on Friday to approve it, because you have to consult Navy, Air Force, and so on. That council will be looking into the details of the budget. That would include the issues which have been raised in this report. But the SANDF is going to brief you more on this. Let me also inform you that we have not been relaxing since we came into that office. On the 10th of this month, that is on a Sunday, I think we spent about 2.5 to 3 hours. 7 o'clock in the evening, started at 7 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, where we got a briefing from Armscor. And then the formations also were there, like Navy. The commander of Navy didn't mince his words to say there are problems. And we have resolved that we will re-look into this matter on Friday when we look at our budget again. That document the budget submission has already been looked at by the formations and so on, but we need to approve it at that forum. And then it can go to the president, to the treasurer. The next step, which will follow after that meeting, according to our plan, we will meet and make a presentation to the treasury and then the president on all these challenges. Because some of us, like yourselves, we are uneasy in terms of the security of the country. So I hope that we can move with speed in the next financial year to address this, because every presentation you have been receiving here, there's no money, there's no money, there's no money. Over and above the meeting we're going to have on Friday, we took a resolution on Sunday that the issue of Armscor and the Navy, and for that matter, other service providers, we will have to look at it, because when we were listening, we could see that Armscor is painting a different picture from what the generals from the Navy are telling us. So we will be looking into those matters. But the details will be on the budget. We have been told that they need A, B, C, D, E. Our budget, therefore, will have to reflect on the problems of Navy. So it goes to Army, Air Force, the other services. So, but after this, I'm going to recommend to the minister that the committee, the portfolio committee on defense, or standing committee, joint standing committee on defense, to make it easy and quicker, as well as the finance committees, we must brief you, because some of the issues we may not want to talk about them publicly. This is security. So we must have that meeting, and then we brief you thoroughly behind closed doors of what steps have we taken, even before or even after, depending as to when the president is going to meet us. So we are doing something, but please, SANDF, just cover some gaps, and then the Armscor leadership will respond as well.
Thank you, DM, and thank you again, Chair and members. I'll just indicate that, excuse me, we know we have costed before the implementation of the defense review, but we have since worked on the review of the review, and the SANDF does have a plan that we called Journey to Greatness. We have costed that, what it will take for the SANDF capabilities to move from where they are now up to where we require them to be. Obviously, what we need is, it's not small money, and therefore we are going to be submitting to Cabinet the total amount that we've costed and what we'll need at least every 5 years until we reach the state where we want to be. So that work is in place. We are hoping that we will be able, as the DM says, to finalize the Cape memo, and then at least is presented in Cabinet before the last Cabinet. If possible, we have projected that we could present it on the 23rd. The figures are there. We can provide to the members if they so wish, but there is a plan and there are figures already that we've worked on. Thank you.
Armscor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think most important.
Just hold on. There's a hand.
Okay.
Honorable Dear.
No, I had thought that I'll take a bite.
Okay. No, you'll close. No problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Chair, we think it's quite important for us to actually acknowledge some of the comments that the committee has made with respect to our presentation. We really do acknowledge that time is of essence, and your comments about the systems we should have utilized and the quality of the presentation we make in this committee are noted, and I can assure you without any shadow of doubt that we shall improve in those areas. We do acknowledge that we are here at your invitation, so we actually need to comply to your rules in as far as our presence here is concerned. And from you, Chair, you raise issues about our cost analysis. Surely next time we will actually make sure that that point is well catered for, because it does appear as if the committee really is looking into that. But noting what the DM have said and SANDF have said, I think it's quite important for us, instead of dealing with each question that you have asked, to actually allow that process to take its course, because it does appear as if breaking down the cost to you might actually not be at an appropriate time now, because the process that the DM has spoken about, in my view, will cover all those sort of aspects. I do notice that we did speak about, we said nothing about SAA Corp. Maybe just on that aspect, because it's a matter of interest, I could request that Mr. Sandos or Ms. Dini could just have a comment or brief us about what are we doing around that. But a lot of question relates to Denel, our collaboration with Denel. What are we doing about its failure? And I think in essence, that is also something we should rather wait for the feedback that the General has spoken about, the Honorable Deputy Minister has spoken about, because I think that can actually be catered for. Safe to say that Armscor and Denel on frequent basis do engage on measures to try to improve the situation. But I think that will be covered in the report itself, if that is permissible. Chair, I can actually request the Dockyard representative to actually just comment about this PN Corp.
No problem. We can allow the Dockyard representative to.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Marvin Seconds. We'll just give feedback on the status of the frigates, inclusive of the Spioen Corp. On the presentation, we focused on critical activities in terms of the status of the Spioen Corp. There was a recent completion of a DED. The Spioen Corp is currently non-operational. There are some major defects sitting on there with respect to the starboard rudders and propeller shafts that have been removed. Those have been removed, and the boat is alongside awaiting repair. There is an expected maintenance period or refit planned for the year of 2026, and planning is in progress with the SANDF in that regard. There was questions on Amatola. Amatola is operational. The Dockyard recently finished the DD in that environment, and the boat has been operational for a period of 2 months. I know there was a question in terms of the timelines. There was some maintenance activities that were completed on Amatola, and it has effectively been operational for the past 2 months after signing completion documentation with the SANDF, with the SA Navy. Thank you.
Honorable Dear.
Chairperson, my colleague, Deputy Minister, covered most of the issues about the department. First and foremost, I must say that we apologize that most senior officers of Armscor are not here. Those are the people that we expected to be here, people such as CEO, Chairperson, and etc. But I must say that we concur with all views raised in the House. But you ask a question about defense reviewer in terms of the department declining. It has further declined after the review. It further declined. We are trying our best to make sure that there is a turning around strategy. But such turning around strategy requires budget or funding. Yeah, I noted that you raised issue of unfunded orders approved, but FA could not approve all those issues. The reality at political level is that currently Denel suffers from international sanctions. At a health service department within the department, this department, they use old systems to repair other systems because under sanctions by America, we suffered the withdrawal of other companies and retrenchment. If you read here, that we experienced challenges from 2015, which resulted to labor leaving the company. It is true. Denel suffer from procure parts because most of those companies fell down, you know. The US succeeded in ensuring that the Arab nations don't buy from Denel. Only Iran continues to buy from Denel, but Iran is under pressure as well. So those are the other things that make us seem to be dysfunctional. It's one of the things we would wish to increase our budget, but even this year it's going to go down. It's the same discussion we had this morning during the cabinet, because there seems to be an important issue of making sure that the defense is funded in such a way that we become equal to the partners, because something is not going well with SADC. As he indicated, that there are things that we can share with you. There are certain things that under intelligence, so we're not allowed to report those things. But under the circumstances, we will continue to suffer criticism, but we are trying our best to make sure that we improve. We engage all the principal to say here and here we have challenges. So, but I'm not saying that we have to defend ourselves. We see exactly what you are saying, in that our functions will be perceived to be going down because of as other honorables indicated, from lack of professionalism from the staff, but we must understand as well that circumstances are not in our favor, but we are trying our best.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM. I will summarize points that I would want us to take home, so that DM, we can say whatever we want to say. After all, we are the authority. The buck stops with us in terms of defending the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the Republic. So there's no way where we are allowed to cry. We have to solve this matter. Before honorable members say, I'm not sure, is it follow-up?
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I'm actually regretting that the Deputy Minister had spoken after Deputy Minister General Olomisa, because he's confused us. He's confused me in understanding, on the one hand, that Deputy Minister Olomisa says to us there's a commitment from the President for an increase. But the Deputy Minister says we're going to go down further. So where are we going now? So, Chair, let me ask this. Deputy Olomisa has said to us they're going to come back after they've done all the necessary assessment. And I'm very happy that the secretary of our committee had handed to us, while he was speaking, also the minutes of the last meeting, because he said something very similar when we talked about the issues around the Department of Defense and especially force rejuvenation and all those issues. He said, wait for this strat session that we're going to have. So, Chair, let's wait, because I'm getting very worried about these contradictions that we have. And let us then say to both the deputy ministers that when you come back to us after these strategic discussions that you had, we are going to hold your feet to the fire, because we need to understand where we're going. Are we going to have that increase that the President committed to? Or are we going on the lower road of what your colleague says is happening? Please don't confuse us, but I don't think, Chair, we need to discuss this here now further. But we need clarity when they come back to us, giving us the feedback on these critical discussions that General Olomisa had referred to, both in this meeting and in our previous portfolio committee meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Shelley.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My other question is covered by Honorable Kalni House about the contradictions that I've just heard. My first question, it's not answered, Honorable Chair. I've asked about the outsourcing. Why is Denel not used? What are the services that cannot, Denel cannot give? Instead of having a lot of outsourcing business, I'm not answered. Why is there a lot of outsourcing?
All right, let me give back to you. Colleagues, why are we not using Denel optimally as part of our insourcing strategy?
Admiral will answer that question. Chair, thanks.
Admiral, you can answer.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable, for the question, and good afternoon to members of the committee, and also to the Deputy Minister, Executive, and our colleagues in the meeting today. We must have an understanding that since 2018, the Denel has experienced lots of challenges. They've also lost capacity to a certain degree. And therefore, the prime mission equipment, which was supposed to be maintained by Denel, because they lost the capacity, had to be outsourced primarily in the landwidth environment within South Africa itself. Denel basically has got the landwidth vehicle system, DLS, Denel landwidth systems. They've got vehicle systems. They've got PMP. They've got Denel Aeronautics, etc., etc. The landwidth is still outsourced within the countries because there are companies within South Africa that could sustain some of our prime mission equipment. And then in the aerospace environment, which is responsible for as an example, to a certain degree, maintain the C-130s. And Denel is the OEM, original equipment manufacturer for the combat support helicopter, that's the Rooivalk, as well as the Oryx, Oryx choppers at this moment. Because they're the OEM, they're the only entity that can actually deal with or sustain or maintain those two capabilities. There are also, if we look at our ammunition, there's a specific, we call it Pretoria Missile Pressings, and I don't want to divulge too much, that is responsible for our small arms capacity within the South African National Defence Force. I'm sure there will be a detailed report once the Denel topic will be discussed downstream, because they are currently promulgated to come to us. That is because Denel has lost capacity, companies absorb some of the employees and the know-how in South Africa. Basically, they left Denel, they went to other companies, and that means the capacity to a certain degree has been groomed in a different company, as an example. So that's outsourcing. In terms of specifically apart from the Oryx and Rooivalk, remember that the other systems are not from ourselves. We're talking about Pilatus, we're talking about C-130. They are not, Denel is not the original equipment manufacturer for those systems. Most of the Gripens, the Hawks, as an example, the OEMs are actually basically abroad, and we are dependent on this, and on those international companies. At a certain stage, there was a drive that we could indigenize some of those companies' capacities in South Africa. But because the Defence Force was subjected to basically baseline reductions over a period of time, it became more difficult. It became absolutely more difficult. Because some of those companies in which we have invested in South Africa has gone by the wayside because there were not sufficient budget coming from ourselves. Now, lastly, just to put this in context, in 2011-12, Denel was standing at 15,000 employees. 15,000 employees. And even earlier to that, there was a lot of job creation that we are looking for today. Unfortunately, if the Defence Force are subjected to baseline reductions, I'll use Denel as an example. And Denel, on one project, had 33 subcontractors, local companies only. And when that went down, the budget of the SANDF was basically reduced. We couldn't basically sustain, and that's why we find ourselves with unfunded, partially funded, etc. That translated to Denel and the employees. But in the bigger scheme of things, if I may, with respect, say, the defense industry, as we know it, will even suffer, is going to suffer more, and we will lose more capacity in our current baseline in terms of our capacity skills in South Africa, because there are some of us that are basically looking at my own interest. I cannot be sustained because my skills are basically required in a different country, a different company, and that is what's going to happen at this moment. We have lost a lot of jobs in South Africa merely because of our reduction in our baseline of the Department of Defense. Thank you, Chairperson. I submit.
Thank you very much. I'm sure members are now clearer after your point that outsourcing is a consequence of underfunding and skills and brain drain, which happened as a result of the Department of Defense being underfunded, according to the report of Admiral, but also it's what experts are saying, that the underfunding of the defense has led to number of retrenchment and brain drain of people whom we lost to United Arab Emirates, others to Silicon Valley in America, some of the IPs and military engineers we have built over the past 7 years. So I think it's a matter that we have to work on. On the date of meeting jointly, Honorable DM Holomisa with finance and everything, the open date we have here is the 4th of December. So we will do proper application with the speaker and the chair of chairs to have that meeting. Once it's granted, we'll come back to you to inform you of that date so that we deal with this thing. Our major wish as this portfolio committee is to arrest the decline so that we can restore confidence of the nation on their pride of the National Defence Force. But in summary of what we dealt with today, I would like to say in the following, as part of our summary, it is evidence from the presentation that additional funding is crucial for sustaining key equipments, while some allocations have been made to upgrade of frigates, submarines, and medium transport aircraft. This funding remains insufficient for the Navy and the Air Force to operate at a full capacity in terms of our capabilities. Close collaboration between Armscor and South African National Defence Force is essential to address these challenges. So we'll also include Denel here. So SANDF will be necessary that on a weekly basis you meet with as a three to monitor and follow up and report to your executive, to your DM, to your minister, so that we know what is happening, so that we are not caught by surprise in terms of any challenge. For the Dockyard, the South African Navy must ensure that vessels undergo necessary routine maintenance before entering the Dockyard. This one is a straightforward point that was raised during the Navy. We don't want our seas to be compromised, our territory to be compromised. Can all the vessels be repaired? While Armscor should focus on enhancing the Dockyard effectiveness, similarly, the South African Air Force needs to prioritize timely contracts placements to avoid maintenance delays, including also on some of our aircrafts and everything. We can compromise our airspace. I normally say when we talk territorial integrity, we talk about the land, the airspace, the seas, the rivers, the farms, the townships, the streets, everything about the people of South Africa. We have that responsibility to protect them. So that's why all our flights and all our pilots must have proper flight hours to ensure that we comply with that requirement from the Constitution. The committee will continue to oversee maintenance contracts and advocate for adequate funding for the department. Now we request as our recommendation to updates on two key areas. The first being the total funding gap across all maintenance contracts. That's why that breakdown we want it. You don't want say unfunded. We want the breakdown. And that breakdown, it will be easier because from the input by Honorable Holomisa is that you are meeting on Friday. So on Friday, table that breakdown. Let us not be general as we are in our presentation. Be specific because you need to brief us as your leadership and the employer in terms of what are your needs to achieve what we want to do. The second one would be the progress on the review of the dockyard structure in alignment with the South African Navy requirements. This one is very clear. Our seas must be safe. That's why we're interested in ensuring that the dockyard functions effectively. The third one would be pathway that you meet on a weekly basis so that you can update the executive in terms of what we expect so that we don't have a similar problem. But from the side of the committee, I must thank you for presenting yourselves to the committee. We hope this is not the last engagement with yourselves. Things we have committed, whether it's a defense review, can it be done, SANDF? We hear about your plan, but your plan was never shared with the portfolio committee, and we are the oversight authority. So if you have a plan which is not known by us, it's like you'll have a challenge, because we are the ones who are supposed to help you to meet treasury. You are not allowed to see treasury, but we can see treasury on your behalf to request more funding. So what you plan, we must also be taken on board so that we understand. But I'm happy that the DM has covered you to say that Friday you are meeting, you'll give us the plan, you'll give us the turnaround strategy, you'll give us the approach of how we are going to arrest the decline so that we can be back into our full capabilities. Before I finally close, I saw a hand of the DM.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to assure the honorable members that if you succeed in securing a meeting with the other role players I've mentioned earlier, in particular, Finance Committee, you will get a document after that or in that meeting, because by that time we would have submitted everything to the Treasury and the President. The package which we will be receiving will be looking at capstone defense policy, a capstone military concept, military strategy, and SWOT analysis that would talk to a funding model, these details. So relax, calm, Shabam. I can't disappoint you.
General, there is no crisis, DM. Yeah, but you can't wink your eye in a dark room because nobody will notice. Your problem is that you are winking your eye in a dark room. You have a plan, you have a strategy as a committee, we are not aware. And we have to represent you in other platforms, in particular of the budgets and other things. So, yeah, but I also want to bring it to your attention that as you make commitments, you must know we are dealing with the national defense. Yeah, every ineptness, timidness, it's treasonous. Me and you can be arrested for failing the nation. We can be executed if it was another country for failing the nation. So,
Said he's going to put us on fire.
yeah, I've already heard about the fire. But thank you very much, the two DMs, Armscor, the DOD, for attending. You can see this is a robust committee. So this 5 years is not going to be easy for you. We need to arrest the decline of our National Defense Force to ensure that we can secure the nation with all our capabilities. The honeymoon is over. Go well and represent us. Thank you.
Oh, we still have to consider the minutes as a committee. We would request that that our visitors can leave us. Thank you very much, honorable members.
We need the
Oh,
we need quorum.
okay, calling the
Thank you, honorable members. We have minutes before us of the 30th of October. These are the only minutes we are going to consider for today. We will start with the page 1. Any matter arising? Honorable?
Yeah, Chair, I think we must, this thing of member Tolo, we must correct it. She cannot be a visiting member. She's an alternate member of this committee, therefore she's a committee member. If she's here, she must be noted as a member. And
Okay, can you explain?
The member needs to be 80 in order to be an alternate or a permanent member of the committee. She's not even on the register. I have spoken to her about it. She knows that the office of the chief whip needs to 80 her name. And we don't have control over that as staff members.
Okay, there's no problem. I think we will consult the office of the chief whip just to ratify that, and the minutes will be corrected in line with the point you're raising. Yeah, I was not aware about this procedure of ATC and what needs to be followed. Honorable Nondija?
Chair, I would like to check if the DOD MV has 3 deputy ministers, because I don't know who is Mr. Klope, a deputy minister. Thank you.
Deputy Minister Hlope is Deputy Minister Mkungo, but apparently he has 2 surnames. So I don't know which one is official.
Okay, let's use both Hlope and Mkungo. Let's just put Hlope dash Mkungo. Yeah, just make a double barrel just for us to be safe, because normally it happens. Sometimes you give your child your Dakota Lekwete Junior, so there's no crisis. So it has been the practice in any culture. So let us not question this family tree. Let's correct it just to say Hlope Mkungo, so that we know we speak of one person. Okay, can we go to the second page? Anything on the second page? Anything on the third page? Anything on the fourth page? Anything on the last page, the fifth page? In the absence of anything, can we move for the mover? Okay, the chief whip moves. Honorable Neos seconds. There is a request by the ANC members in the portfolio committee to remain after the sitting by Honorable Sokanyile. So members of the ANC in the portfolio committee, can you remain to meet with Honorable Sokanyile? Honorable Pakis?
thank you, Chair, for purposes of organizing our lives. Are we still going on an oversight visit? What is going to happen in the next 2 weeks, so that we also get clarity on that? Because I'm having a child that is going to have an operation in the last week, first week of December. So I'd like to be there. So I just want clarity on that matter.
Okay.
And a letter was issued by Mr. Frolic to all the chairpersons of the committees that last week, on the Tuesday, there's a house sitting, and then on Thursday, it's caucus day. So on the letter, he gave an instruction that all committees should organize whatever activity they want after Thursday, which is only Friday. But the application has been made, but he hasn't given back the application to say application is declined or not declined, but he just gave that letter to all chairpersons of the committees. So we are also confused as to what's going to happen, because the applications are not yet back, but he just gave out that letter to all chairpersons. And then, but if the oversight is not approved, then we're going to apply to have that meeting that the chair spoke about, with the joint meeting with the Joint Standing Committee on Finance on the 4th of December, which is that same week, but on that Wednesday, subject to approval of the National Treasury and the other committee. Thank you.
Oh, we are covered from the Secretariat. I think those are the points. So members will be updated even through our WhatsApp group in case there's any change or developments related to this particular aspect. Honorable Blackis, I'm sure we'll come back to you before you go for your operation to know whether we're confirming or not. Let me take this opportunity to thank all of you members of the Portfolio Committee, the support staff, for your cooperation. Honorable Hala, I was closing.
Sorry, Chair, before you close. What is missing is maybe should have asked the Deputy Minister. Here's a roadmap show to visit the provinces. When is he going to submit it to us?
Or the roadshow to visit military veterans.
Yeah.
Oh, he says, I asked him now, he says he's still waiting for the minister to approve. So, yeah, because apparently there is a cost implication. So he's approved by the minister as a deputy. So he's still waiting for that. So I'm not sure when are they going to finish that, because we still have to go to military veterans just to update our records and to hear their issues as a portfolio committee. Yeah. Thank you very much, honorable members, for your contribution and your participation in the portfolio committee. The meeting stands adjourned until the next notice. Members of the ANC can remain behind. Thank you.
Chair, now the ANC is going to plot.
You are not part of the GNU, man. What's your problem?
Thank God.
Yeah?
Thank God I'm not part of that.
Yeah, but the country must run, my brother. The country must run.